To invite a dragon to be careless. Like a little saying they obviously have in the peninsula. Hello and welcome back to Boring Dad Gaming, where today we're going to be playing some more Roadwarden. Let's dive straight into our saves. So let's just quickly remind ourselves what we're doing. I think we'd come to rest at, wherever we are, we're at Howler's Dell, I think, aren't we? Let's have a quick look at the map so we can kind of remind ourselves what our plans are for the day. So we want to activate the Beholder. It feels like that may be slightly more of a longer term thing than I was perhaps expecting at first. I did read a little bit of a guide, and there is kind of like a point system in terms of what you put on the altar to activate it. In terms of the blood, I think I'm about halfway there, so it's going to take a few... If I was to do that, it would take a few more days and a lot of resting, a lot of healing to try and do that. But there are other things you can put on that altar, so I think actually maybe I'm going to prioritise that for first thing. First thing I'm going to do then is travel to this monastery, because another quest that we've been given kind of suggested that there's something we can find there, and actually the thing we can find there is something else we can put on the altar. The road is still covered with the older branches and leaves, and there are some fresh paw prints just nearby, but at least the beast is nowhere in sight. You smell a whiff of urine, but it's already at the verge of your senses. You wonder if the pebblers have a strong sense of smell. Most creatures have a stronger sense of smell than humans. So here we are at the monastery. A large red saurian is lying in the middle of the path, basking in the sun, but flees at your sight, climbing down the rocks as if they're a floor. You spot only a few hooded figures. Two youngsters help an elder on her walk through the fields. One is running up and down the stairs, and another one washes himself in the brook. You call the monks by hitting the sticks and the drawbridge lowers. Eli gestures for you to enter the storage house with his bandaged hand.
"Warden," he nods. "Is all right?"
His young companion is right next to him, observing your palfrey. Okay, well, there's quite a few things to talk to them about here, but I am going to ask about Phoebe and the Spirit Rock first.
Nah, I wouldn't bite into aught touched by that witch.
He hides his bandaged hand behind his back.
Why does the father think it may work?
You portray the situation as accurately as you can. Eli gets closer to the cliff, observing the river beneath it, and spending a good few minutes considering the situation. Suddenly he turns towards you with wide open eyes, making his companion stagger.
"He's lying to thee,"
he announces with a great dose of enthusiasm.
"He seeks no cure for the lack of pneuma, but rather for the lack of soul itself. Before Adir's calling to greatness, the tribes of the Dragonwood saw the spellless children as empty shells, throwing them to beasts just as often as they did with the crippled and the short-witted. There's this tale."
He glances at you.
"Thou won't remember it anyway, but the tablets carry no doubt. Tribes shan't hurt those touched with this condition, as there's no such stuff as soulless children."
I did want those spirit rocks though, so I'm going to have to get them somehow. I'm looking for a few hunters from creeks. Were they here?
"Hunters from creeks?"
He mimics your voice with a hint of mockery.
"Not a soul from there has reached this temple in,
He rubs the back of his bandaged hand and looks at a monk who's carrying buckets of water.
"Well, a decade. Now, they've got enough hunting grounds, the heart of the woods, the watchtower, the northern hills."
I saw Arentius's ritual. He strengthens his weak spells with blood magic. During your report, Eli avoids Decima's piercing gaze.
That would clarify some doubts. His tribe was always weak on pneuma. From what thou sayest, he's not a sorcerer, but a madman.
He finally looks back at his companion. His voice grows stronger.
"And we'll need to take it to our prelate."
You mentioned you lack delicacies. How about this roast chicken?
He chuckles. "I lack no such thing, but we look after a few weak souls."
After sniffing the spiced meat, he gives you an approving nod.
"Well, we've got a few bones we can spare. I'll pay you. 2 coins for such a meal."
How are we doing for money? We've got 15, but more money's always good. Sure, I'll take this chicken. The greyed out option looking for a job has now been opened up. But I've got some questions about the monastery. No, I'm not interested in those questions. Do you need help? I'm looking for a job. He puts his hands together and repeatedly taps his fingers. After a few breaths, he glances at a wandering monk, then lowers his voice.
Let me see thy horse. How fast is it?
You lead both him and Decima to the storehouse. While his steps are heavy and fierce, she doesn't make as much. While his steps are heavy and fierce, she doesn't make as much as a sound. Eli shows no interest in your mount.
There's this enchantress. She is aught we need you to pick up and bring here.
He glances at the door.
Follow the eastern road until you find the watchtower. Don't bother with it, it's either empty or a lair. Then head east to the lake.
What do you want me to bring? He waves his fingers.
A set of quills. We sharpened them and asked her to make them last. Thy pet won't even notice.
Why is it such a secret?
No, it's really not. It's just that they're a surprise gift. And no, I asked you to this room for a different reason.
What about my reward?
Oh, what does thou want?
Well, I have 5 dragons. He narrows his eyes, but finally nods.
Fine, they're not much use for us anyway.
Tell me about this enchantress. Despite his casual nods, an angry note distorts his already hoarse voice.
Eudocia lives by herself, surrounding her house with dangerous spells. Her talent knows no equal, yet she's a spider queen in the centre of the web.
He wipes his sweat off Roach's side.
She's the only shell she cares about and uses those who reach out to her. Keep your guard up.
Okay, deal.
Well, we'll see how good of a rider thou art.
He glances at the door and lowers his voice.
But there's some other stuff we need from thee. Stuff that takes,
subtlety and, he straightens up.
Dedication to our cause.
What do you want me to do?
Swear thou will not betray our order.
Alright, I won't betray you. His smile reveals his yellow teeth.
Once thou reacheth the enchantress's house, thou will find golems made of stone. I've heard they're larger than a lumberjack. Could tear thy pet to pieces.
He looks away, talking to himself.
Can they be defeated? Can they do aught without a direct order from their mistress? We need to prepare ourselves, learn about them as much as thou canst. Give them a good look, ask her a few subtle questions.
And what will I get in return?
Aught we don't share lightly, a secret of thy choice.
He gestures for you to follow him outside.
But bring us as much news about these creatures as thou canst. It's an all or naught deal.
Decima stays close to him but walks backwards, observing your steps carefully. Yeah, well, the only options left to us are basically to ask those couple of questions that I'm not that interested in asking. So I guess we will leave. Wasn't quite what I was expecting from that, but maybe the enchantress is the one I need to see. So we'll have a think about what else we want to achieve today. I'd quite like to maybe go and check out whatever's over here. Also quite interested to head into the forest and see the enchantress. There's also this sort of south road from Foggy Lake and further north from Gale Rocks. Ooh, there's so many things to do. Okay, well let's do this first, as I think there's probably not a great deal on this side. The longer you follow the corridor of hills, the more daring the harpies get, observing you as they lower their flight. For now, there's 5 of them. Their fluttering bat-like wings let them hang in a spot, though loudly. The creatures are smaller than goblins, with ape-like features and talons that make you think of a parrot. Their fur is in shades of browns and greys. You could try to get through them, but you have to scare them off for good. Otherwise you won't be able to ride back east uphill. Well, you know, I think we're probably as prepared as we would ever be, so let's face them. You keep riding forward and unpack every piece of equipment that could be of use here. It'd be better to weaken the beasts before you clash with them. Okay, well I've got a spell I can cast. I grab my wand, cost 3, yeah, and this is, I think it said it does like a magic missile or lightning bolt sort of thing, so let's use that. Yeah, we'll use 3 of my magic. You focus on channeling the direction of the pneuma, then push an invisible wave into one of the beasts mid-flight, making it crash into the rocks. Without so much as a gasp, it rolls down the hill. Well, I don't have a crossbow, but I take a swing of my axe and let the beast get closer. You find comfort in the rhythm dictated by your palfrey, but you'll struggle to protect both of you, not to mention trying to push away the onslaught. You have to use your axe to scare away anything from reaching Roach's eyes. Well, I guess I'll cover my head with my armored arms. Oh, we lost some armor. After a beast grabs your arm, there's another one that strikes you from the other side, sinking into your shoulder. Once you cut through one of their necks, the others let you be, exchanging sad glances as they land next to their wounded allies. After not even half an hour, you hear the sound of the sea. Finally. Okay, well, that went alright. The coast is a mixture of green and grey, with sands already covered by the water. The waves hit the land fiercely, but can't put an end to the screeching of seagulls. The signs of human presence are fading away. The grasses overgrow the path. The palisade and building are already collapsing. The lonely tree, still bearing signs of human pruning, is unkempt and wild. You see no smoke or lights. I keep Roach close. There may be something hidden behind a rock. In the north, you find tall rocks sticking out of the land, like fingers of a buried troll. The southern brook hides even more grasses and shrubs, which end with yet another rock face. There are no obvious obstacles that would block you from entering the village, but there's also enough space to look around the wall. Okay, well, let's leave entering until we've explored the sort of perimeter. So we go that way. That's crossing the brook. We walk along the palisade, maybe around here. Go north to the shore. Let's cross the brook first of all. The area is surrounded by cliffs, like an antechamber in a palace. The meadow here is modest, but still lengthy enough for Roach to enjoy it. You count the 3 stumps and boughs and realise that this lea is but a dead shell of a lush copse, a clearing left behind by the settlers. A single shrub is still alive, too weak to withstand the sun and winds all by itself. You think of the roots spreading beneath your boots, now dead and rotting. We could go to the shore in the west. The stones here are almost as huge as a building, both on land and in the water. You can only guess how much space they occupy beneath the surface. You inspect the dead tree growing by the brook and find an old necklace among its roots. It's made from a leather strip, now covered in mould, a long cream-coloured seashell and a few thin round flakes, most likely made of a sea monster's tooth. You try to wash it, but to no avail. Alright, we'll stick that in my sack. Where should we go? Yeah, well, let's walk around the palisade then, near the southern building. You tell Roach to drink from the brook and enter the narrow path. The building, which has a door leading outside of the palisade, is closed, and its roof has collapsed. On the ground you find a wooden bowl, a mug, a spoon and a fishing rod. All of them are rotten, broken or swollen by rains and hoarfrosts. Not much there, so I return to my horse. Let's go north to the shore. The further north you go, the more grass gets replaced by sand. You walk by dozens of rocks, many of which are much larger than you, or even 2 or 3 people standing on top of each other. The land, reaching from this point to the distant steep cliff, is desolate. One could bring here a treasure, bury it under any of these silent sentinels, and then never find it again. Alright, not much there either. Let's go to the gate. Let's enter the hamlet. The roaring ocean overwhelms the whimper of soggy, broken beams. The huts would take a lot of work, but are not beyond restoration, especially the one in the centre, whose simple roof has managed to protect its walls. By its open entrance you spot a bucket of water, as well as boot prints. Anyone here? I don't want to hurt you. After a few breaths, the tall and slim woman steps onto the threshold. Her strong longbow is resting against her hip, and you spot the arrow quill sticking out from the quiver. She's standing sideways to you, ready to take a shooting stance. This, combined with her raised chin, gives her a proud, confident look. If she's a traveller, it's unusual that she carries no major scars, bruises or wounds. She's tanned, with flaxen curly hair that is too short to reach her shoulders. It's disorderly and of uneven length, most likely cut with a dagger. Her upper lip is unusually large. Okay. Considering she's got a long bow and arrows and is ready to shoot them, I think of these choices, I'm going to say that maybe she's a big game huntress. Her worn baggy tunic has no sleeves and her legs are uncovered. showing how impeccably clean her skin is. She observes you keenly, but her sparkling, curious hazel eyes carry no anger. We can probably afford to be friendly. I'm sorry to disturb your peace. Can we talk? She bites her lower lip and glances at Roach. About what? You think I came here to find new neighbours? I'm Sir Boring, the Roadwarden. Let's just introduce ourselves first. She clicks her tongue and looks away, observing the sand dancing in the wind. So, there's a new one already. Pause. But there's nae much for you to find here. There are nae ever ghosts here. The people of Howler's Dell want me to check on this place. It belongs to them. Nay, let's nae troll shit one another. What does Thais want? Coming from her mouth, the mayor's name is like a toothache. Why do you think it's her? Everyone else has given up on this place. Only she still brings it up. If your horse is here, someone helped you with the rocks. And nae farmer would come here without an order. She wanted me to take a look, see if there are any monsters about. Blood on all of it. She looks at the gate, lets out a huff, and then straightens up and meets your eyes. She mustn't know what you've seen. She points at you with the tip of her bow. Dinna tell her I'm here, or better yet, dinna tell her this place is still standing. You're her daughter, the one slaughtered by goblins? Aye, that's my story, and I need it to stay that way. Asterion, help me. Ma'am. Tears well up in her eyes, and her brown cheeks blush. Her voice fills up with spite. Thais takes whatever fits in her talons. She was pushing me into marriage out of spite to punish me, but I will nae be chained, nae by her, nae by others. I am a master of the bow, the hunt, and spells of mine. I'll come back as my own soul, as Aegidia, the archeress, nae a mayor's daughter, and she'll have nae power over me. Why do you want the villagers to stay away? She puts a hand on the tip of her bow and starts to stroke it with her fingers. I hope Howlers will prosper, I do, but they already have more than they can eat. I'll meet with the forest speakers after the first thaw and show them I can handle this place. I'll be its guardian, live here with my friends, and near the mayor's eye. She steps closer to you, the corner of her eyes turning red. I need it, more than they need some fish. What do you have against Thais? She pulls the string of her bow. I'm near bad, words escape me, and my pain shall die with me. But Elpis, a forest speaker, also knows the real mayor. She wants others to see her as strong at all costs. She swings the bow like a staff right above the ground, as if to hit invisible legs. She punishes those who stand against her, and I did the worst crime of them all. She makes a dramatic pause. I doubted her. The druids don't control the village, Thais does. She controls what my neighbours let her control, and only because she's good at hiding from them what they do not want to see. But let her fail. She smiles. Let the others hear that their good old fishing spot is turned into ruins. Once I'm back, this moment of weakness may make just the difference. Ooh, interesting. You assume a lot. You can't expect all your plans to succeed. I can and I do. I know these folks, traveller. You sound like the mayor right now. Only she is allowed to take risks. Only she can make mistakes. Only she can be brave. Well, she straightens up, grasping her bow firmly. I carry a brave soul. I'm ready to be wrong and to face consequences, if that's the only path to freedom. Okay, well, what's in it for me? She chews on her lower lip and straightens up. A favour for a favour. She looks into your eyes. Keep my secret and one day I'll help you back. In the wilderness, my talents are of great value. She raises her bow slightly. One has been able to stay alive all by herself for half a year. Okay. Ready to give you my answer. She observes you in silence, drawing short lines in the sand with her foot. Thais deserves to know the truth. I mean, the more everyone tells me about Thais, the less I trust her, to be honest. I'll cover for you. That's what I'm leaning towards. I'll cover you, but only until spring. Yeah, maybe that one. I'll cover for you until spring. I mean, it's coming up to autumn, so that's, you know, half a year away. You can't just take this place away from Howler's Dell. She closes her eyes, takes a few deep breaths, and starts to stretch her arms and back, as well as walking about. You can see the tension leaving her shell with every step. Fair. More than fair, thank you. Tears well up in her eyes, but her voice stays strong. I'd hug you, but you must forgive me. She grabs a strap of her rag as if it's meant to explain everything. Aegidia, asks you to give her a few minutes and you return to Roach. Once she returns, her hair is combed and she's wearing a brown linen tunic, slightly darker than her skin, with red trim on its neck and sleeves, long enough to reach her knees. It's as good as new, a relic of Tice's luxuries. Tell me about Asterion. She mentioned that he helped her. She touches her lips with the tip of her bow. Well, I do not know where he is. I spent little time with him, but he's a stranger with a pure heart, like it's made of iron. She glances at you. He doesn't talk much. Maybe it's a warden thing, eh? Nay, I willna stay around, he said. She tries awkwardly to imitate a male voice. I ride east next. East, I ask? To Howler's? Farther, he said. To the Enchantress, maybe? Even further than that. His own words. She looks at you triumphantly. What? Oh, he means the tribe of the Green Mountain, I'm sure. That's where they live, away from any road. I'm never sure how to find them. Maybe one of the forest speakers could guide you. Is this your necklace? She doesn't reach for it and instead lowers her head to your open palm. Nay, 'tis ugly. You found it here. Must be old, from before my time. Have you ever been at the heart of the woods? Nay, we're doing a hunt for beasts beyond the nearest hills and ponds. If I were to enter the deep roads, I'd have some long preparations to do. Good gambas on, sharp blade, healthy shell, food in my belly and in a sack. She glances at Roach and can't stop a chuckle. I'd take someone with me or a group of someone's, but you already have all the help you need, I see. How did you manage to survive for so long? All by yourself? It wasn't so hard, but it will change now with the road cleared for larger beasts. She bites her lower lip. I ate birds, some green leaves from the top of the cliff to keep my hair strong. She touches it with an open palm. And I learned how to catch the small fish from the stream. The nights in there much better than in the woods, I admit. If near for my spell, the monsters would have gotten through many times. The door is near enough. My smellers around, you see. They know I'm but food. You're a spellcaster, you ask, and she playfully touches her canine with the tip of her tongue. They've many talents. Pray to near learn about them all. Okay. Is it safe to rest here during the night? She points at her bow. Points her bow at the broken palisade. I didn't know. You tell me. I'm not sharing my shelter with you. Your horse wouldn't fit through the door anyway. Better turn back to Howler's. Right, well, I guess it's time for me to leave. Safe travels, she says with a smile and pats your palfrey's neck. You leave the hamlet. I guess I could go to the harbour. This last area here. Got a little achievement for that. The coast. I guess I've reached the sea at last. The sea here is not like the one from Hovleven's port. The harbour and waters most people see during their busy days are full of life. Ships, warehouses, traders, dockers. And of course there's Sickle, the barrier island that provides the city with its lagoon, but also serves as a home to dozens of species of birds, monkeys and rodents. For most people, the sea is never silent. But if one travels to Sickle and looks west, or embarks on a boat and sails away, there's yet another view, a very different one. The never-ending blue, the emptiness, the humming waves, the monsters swimming to the surface just about to take a breath, not even interested in the wooden vessels. Many say that if one jumps off a ship with a heavy stone, they will drown before they touch the seabed. Here, however, the water can't be separated from the rocks that cut through it, like a swarm of mushrooms in a dark forest. Their shapes and sizes vary, but it's their number that makes them unusual. If you were to name each one, you'd have to make up at least half of the names. I approach the harbour. You walk by the small garden that carries a few bean plants and not many weeds. You leave Roach behind and take a walk on the wooden logs of the massive bridge. They're in much better shape than the other structures here, and the boat is almost new, still shining proudly from varnish. You look back at the nearby building. While restoring all of the structures to their former functionality will be rough, there's a lot to work with. Tice would be pleased. I go somewhere else. I guess we travel. I won't get any cleaner in the ocean. No, I'm pretty clean at the moment. Interesting, okay. Ooh, well I guess we return to Tice now and give her the news about the village. But it's not going to be the news she wants, so we are gonna keep Aegadia's secret. You approach the opening gate and swiftly dismount. A guard approaches you, ready to take your mount to a stable.
Good to see you. How are your journeys?
What time is it? We gossip for a bit. The curious locals gather around to take part in your conversation. Recently, 2 teens suddenly announced their engagement, and no soul knows when it started. I enter the village. Are we going to stay here for the night? I mean, it's possible. I guess it's possible. If I look at the map, I could get to... Oh, this doesn't really give me the travel times. There's a chance I could get to Foggy Lake, I suppose. I don't think I'll get to Creeks. I don't want to keep spending my money on the stables. I'm broke. My mount only needs some hay. There you go. We could return to Elpis now now we've spoken to the mayor's daughter. The building site hasn't changed much since the last day of your visit. A few druids are weeding the herb garden and cease once they see you. Elpis arrives from around the corner. I lower my voice. I met Agedea. She says you don't think much of Tice. When she responds to your brief tale, you can't tell if her whisper is filled with reprimand or appreciation. It does not fit me to put one soul above another. 'Tis true that the mayor pushes the village into a time of struggle, but not because of bad will. That's what she was taught, and what saves her from her own past. Aye, she pursues power, and aye, there's weakness in it. I do think she needs to change for everyone's sake, but each one of us struggles to bloom, not just her. Her blue eyes resemble light flower petals. Why do you speak for your entire group? She steps away, tilting her staff toward the other druids, who look at you gently. There's no master among us. I have answers for our neighbours, and I know how to guide them, that's all. For now I'm trusted, but I'm not above anyone, and I take upon myself the burdens of daily life from the shoulders of the elders. One day my soul will get cloudier, or even lost in madness like my mother's before me. Then my lips will be sealed, and a bitter shell will take my place. And you can't tell if her eyes show sadness or relief. Tell me about your faith. Let's change the topic. I'm not that interested. Okay, farewell. Let's go to the main square. Got quite a bit of money. Go to the trader. Oh, I can show him the necklace I found at the hamlet. Have you ever seen such a trinket? He takes only a glance. Nay, I don't buy trash. I bring goods to sell. Okay, so he still wants the tablet, but not for enough. New battle axe. I mean, it's tempting, but I want to keep the money for now. Okay. Time to look for the mayor, I suppose. Welcome back to our village, Sir Bowling. You wanted to see me. I could ask her about the necklace. Let's do that. She reaches for it, but doesn't touch it. In her green eyes, you notice disgust. Well, let me think, she mutters. No, I can't say I have. An ugly little thing, but tells me nothing. What can you tell me about the tribe of the Green Mountain? She opens her mouth, but needs a few breaths to respond. I compliment you for finding out about their existence at all. She rubs the back of her neck. I can't tell you much about them. To be honest, I wouldn't be allowed to, even if I wanted to. Ma! Hearing the call of a little girl, Tice flinches. It turns out the child is demanding a change of shirt. She points at a large stain on her stomach. What happened here? The mayor asks as she turns away from you to help the girl change, but doesn't wait for her response. I haven't spoken with the tribe in 10 years or so. As a child, I was told that no one should ever seek their home. She takes a look at her daughter. The new shirt is as worn and dull as the old one. It's an old garment for adults. On her small frame, it looks like a baggy tunic. Very nice, go play. She concludes absently and looks back at you, sighing with annoyance. My sister used to brag that she saw them once in the woods during their hunt, that they were wearing the faces of animals looking like the beast folk. She tried to make a mask of her own, but the druids told her to stop fooling around. Kids are liars, my father said. She lets out a quiet titter. Could I ask her a couple of questions? I'm afraid she's with the forest now. A bolt of lightning hit her right in the head. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. You surely don't avoid hard conversations, do you? Most city folk feel hesitant when they meet pagans. She smiles, but the hand clenched around her deer buckle makes you alert. Are you that open to strangers, or did the United Church loosen its grasp? I'm interested in who could take their place. The guilds and artisans? The army? To be honest, I'm tempted to say I don't bother with any of this politics. Her eyes turn from keen to angry, then again to tranquil, although her voice is tart. Are we done here? I bring news about the other parts of the peninsula. She gives you a curious look. We are spying for her. We can say the people of Creeks face many struggles. Your tale takes quite a few minutes. Not only does Tice have many questions, she finally asks Eric's to bring her a wax tablet, in which she starts making notes. Once you're done, she lets out a relieved sigh and speaks more to herself than to you. If it just so happens that the tribe will need my help, I'll be prepared to answer their call. She looks you in the eyes and smiles warmly, and then closes the tablet loudly. That's all I'm going to say for now. I don't want to talk about the other stuff right now. Can you give us a moment? As you frown, a muscular, crudely dressed woman approaches the table, asking Tice for directions. Something about moist logs and breaking boards. You stop paying attention quickly and wonder why the mayor insists on holding these meetings outside. I think it's theatre. She wants to show how much she cares about the others. Great job! She sends off the worker with an encouraging smile, though when her eyes meet yours, it shifts into a challenging smirk. Alright, here we go. About the fishing hamlet. She encourages you with a smile. I've been there. She puts on a wide, expectant smile, and you notice a few more wrinkles around her eyes. According to your tale, I'm going to lie, the hamlet is uninhabitable, even if empty. You portray the demolished rotten cabins, harpy nests, and the collapsed ground. Tice's eyes lose their spark, but she keeps her composure and even asks for more details. After you finish, she leans forward and rests her cheek on her hand. You don't even notice where the pouch in her hand came from. Well, at least the harpies left your eyes alone. Did they bother you? She slowly counts down 3 dragon bones, placing them loudly on the table. I nod. You wouldn't believe the scent of their blood. She adds another 3 bones. I hear you. No trophies from those freaks. Here's your compensation. She observes her pale fingers without a word, then asks you to give her a minute. After she returns from the inn, her lips are covered with a new layer of rouge, darker than usual. One of her sons carries a large bag made of leather, and after you peek inside, you find a sheet of parchment rolled into 2 wooden handles. The scroll is new, heavy, tied with a tight linen cord, sealed with wax. You've proven yourself trustworthy, both to me and to my neighbours, says the mayor. Take this letter to the masters of the guild. May the negotiations begin. With a smile, she reaches out her hand. I shake it with enthusiasm. It was my pleasure. Fantastic, she says with a radiant smile. Her hand is as soft as that of a wealthy merchant. Do you need anything else? Thank you for your time. Okay, that's good. So we have 4.5 hours till dusk. If I leave the square, it'll give me the option to travel. So where can I get to? I could get to Foggy Lake. But what do I do once I'm there? Well, we want to maybe do the hunt in the morning for this bird, don't we? I might be, after a night's sleep, I might be well enough to do it with them. I didn't get what I was expecting to from the monks. Maybe they don't have it. Maybe it's someone else. Or maybe I need to do some tasks for them first, and then they'll open up to me a bit. Okay, well, let's go to Foggy Lake then, and we'll rest there for the night. The light shines on the water and the empty road. With no herbal beds or travellers in sight, the tavern looks like an abandoned hamlet. There are dozens of feathers scattered around the yard, as well as some bloodstains on an apron that's hung on the fence. Okay, let's go in the tavern. There's a strong scent of boiled fat coming from the stew in the cauldron. It could use more herbs. Foggy is standing in the middle of the room, lost in her thoughts. She welcomes you with a gentle nod. Alright, let's show her the ocean necklace. Any idea where this comes from? She doesn't reach out for it. I can't remember Foggy's voice. One of those that shine in the sun. The folk from Gale's Rocks make them from the shells and dead sharks they find on the coast. You ask about a probable owner, but she lets out a puff. Could be anyone. That's all fine. I spoke with Caius. I wonder why did you decide to keep him around? Do I need a reason? Her amused eyes get thoughtful as she looks at the ceiling. He came here as a poor soul in need, taught only how to use a spear and a shield. I know how it feels, to have all that you're good at taken away from you. She straightens up and hits her chest with her fist. But so I know that new paths await us, with or without the help of others. Caius's legs may be buried in despair, but I'm ready to throw him a shovel once he asks for it. He pauses? I think that's supposed to be she, surely. She pauses and looks through the window. Though these fantasies of his won't help him ask anytime soon, they swallow his thoughts. Okay, I've got another little icon up here. I managed to reach the sea. I guess these are little achievements here. Along the top, that's quite cool. Maybe she's willing to buy something from us? Jar of Trolls urine. Well, how much is she going to pay for that? 4 dragons? Maybe later. I can need to buy something. What's she got? Fresh meals? 4 meals bought in advance. For 1 dragon? Yeah, we'll do that. Some meals on the road. Very nice. I could sleep here. But let's ask about our next job. Still interested? I have a message to Lesson. I think it was Iason, the innkeeper of the Pell to the north. His place is in the far south. A huge bother for us to get there. A bother worth, let's say, 3 dragons. Sure, I'm there fairly regularly. She sits down in a stool and looks you in the eyes. The scars and wrinkles on her thoughtful face could belong to a statue. Tell him, are we still trading? I'm running out of patience. Remember it well, aye? Bring me the answer, only then you'll get paid. I'll do it. We'll be there anyway at some point, I'm sure. Okay, well maybe we'll sleep now as it's dusk. We can pay the rent. It looks like we'll... I'll recover some magic. It looks like we'll heal anyway, which is good. We'll be up to full health, I hope, by the morning. Let's do that. The rains once again hit the ground, interrupting your sleep. Another day of muddy roads. A monstrous shout wakes you up. The night is bright, and from the window of the tavern you have a good look at the yard. A few massive dragonlings are exploring the courtyard, knocking over wooden tools with their tails, putting their noses into buckets and underneath the stairs. You count 5 of them so far, but you can't see the entire area at once. One of them spots your look and moves closer. Still, it doesn't try to climb to the door. Maybe it's experienced enough to know it won't get through. I go back to sleep with an axe in my hand. There we go, full health. Lovely, lovely. Listening to the grunts of the annoyed roach make you feel uneasy, but at least the furs covering the floor are helping you relax. You don't even notice when it's already morning, and while the smell coming from the lower floor is not inviting, at least it's not you who has to take care of it. Foggy turns towards you and waits for you to speak. Okay, we've got a meal here, haven't we? We've already paid for, so may as well eat that. There we go, nice full tum. She stretches out her arm and grabs a bowl. Give me a moment. You sit down at the clean table. After a moment, the keeper brings you an old rye bread, a fistful of nuts, a roasted rat, and a mug of acorn brew. Lovely. Once you're done, Foggy packs the leftovers for you as a snack for the rest of the day, and mentions that you've already paid for another 3 meals. That's fine. Let's go outside. Let's approach the foragers. I have everything I need. Let's hunt while it's still early. Ilan clasps his hands.
Then we're going. Idiot, take care of the horse.
He nods towards the man with one hand. Ilan puts proudly a rope and bag on his shoulders, while Zvai shoves everything under his black cloak. They gather by the gate and mock their companion as he toddles toward the lake with an empty bucket. I grab whatever may be of use from my bags and scratch Roach's neck. Oh, we're hunting for a big bird. The air is fresh, just as it was in the tavern. The light touches the road and shrubs, blocked only by the single willow, wild and untrimmed. You're by a lake, too large for you to see its other bank, but there are only a few trees on the horizon, while the struggling bushes and grasses fight with layers of rocks. Zvai mentions that while the soil here is poor, one can still find plenty of berry shrubs around. Ilan points at the grey rabbit cleaning its fur near the brook. Noticing your gaze, it hops towards the nearest shrub. Right after it sinks into the leaves, you hear it squeal, cut off quickly.
Oh dear,
shouts the large man, while his companion starts to laugh.
Caught between 2 stones.
You wait for a long minute with a hand on your axe, but the creature doesn't return.
Don't worry, friend, says Ilan. Just don't follow its lead.
Carrying your belongings on your own is surprisingly tiring, and you make noises with every turn. You relax a bit, then turn towards the stone statue of a young woman. I approach it. Such a monument would be a better fit for a temple or a rich city folk's house. Here, without any cover, it's already losing its shape from the rains and dust. Chunks of the face and hair have already broken off. It has detailed eyes and human-like proportions, and the clothes are like fabric petrified by a spell. The statue carries the usual travelling equipment, a walking staff, a gambazon, simple pants, now covered by leaves.
A nice thing, isn't it?
Ilan thunders behind you.
It's older than our home.
I look at the pedestal. Maybe someone left here something valuable. You dismount and approach the bushes covering the legs and pedestal. You see some old wooden bowls as well as rocks. You try to push the leaves away, but their stems are thick and healthy, crowded with insects and spiderwebs. Until you remove the thicket, you won't be able to see if there's anything worth stealing. Thankfully, there are no thorns, and the touch of a leaf doesn't make your finger itchy. Zwei chuckles.
Yeah, what, looking for offerings?
So, do you know who this is?
Nah,
Ilan is more focused on the fish breaking through the surface of the lake.
it's old and the woman is a stranger. I heard no stories of it. My ma could.
The bushes are covering its legs. We could clean this place a bit, reveal them.
Oh, but what for?
Zwei narrows his eyes.
Leave it to someone else who cares. We have things to do.
We should move on,
Oi, let's not linger.
says Ilan as he walks down the road. We move forward. Some bones there. The valley is flanked by the hills. Only in the west the grasses and bushes blend into the horizon and turn into another part of the forest. The southern hills are grey and tall, with fortress-like rock faces and a crown of conifers. The northern ones have countless sand-coloured rocks, lumped together like piles of rubble and clay, bearing hardly any soil or weeds. The plants here are struggling. The grass is short and yellowish, sometimes dried out. The bushes have silver leaves like many plants from sunny areas. The mushrooms can't hide in the shadows, but as you approach one, you see it's growing from the remains of a dead bird, while others are covering old branches and other plants. They won't last much longer. Ilan points east to the large bird at the edge of the horizon, which freezes in the middle of a step and turns its orange head in your direction.
See? Time to get ready.
What's the plan?
Well, avoid the beak and legs and the trample.
He pauses, inspecting the loop at the end of his rope.
And don't hurt it if you don't have to. We don't want it to be a bother.
Zwei jauntily drops his belongings in the middle of the road and jumps in place, rhythmically breathing. After he takes off his black cloak, he reveals a set of fancy clothes made of black leather. Clothes of a sneaky adventurer.
It charges like a moron. Be nimble, that's all. 1 or 2 ropes on the neck and we're halfway home. But don't let it pass you by, aye?
Should I also take a rope? I can throw it at the bird and pull once it gets behind me.
I don't know, friend, says Ilan. Roping isn't easy. Don't be too reckless. We don't have magic on our hands.
And we can't buy another Roadwarden, adds his companion, so don't make this a bad trade for us.
I wait for them to get to the sides of the valley and then approach the bird. Oh, goodness. No. It spooks me when the music changes. It's taller than Roach, with wide breast and long, thick, partially feathered legs that could easily trample your chest. Its thighs are thick and powerful, and the pointy beak could swallow your entire forearm. Your steps are getting slower. Okay, what do we do? Look around nervously, calm myself down, grab the hourglass on my chest, try to speak confidently. I beat my chest to the fist and let out a shout. Let's try to speak confidently. We want to... We're the distraction, basically, aren't we? So let's try and distract. I try to speak confidently. How's it going? Can you just maybe, wait patiently in place so my companions can nicely tie you up? Once you get to the pen with us, you'll have all the rats and pigeons you can eat. The bird moves forward even before you finish your sentence, clearly unimpressed by your promises. But the sound of your voice and the illusion of control helps you calm down. Your hands hold your equipment firmly, and your legs are already bent, ready to jump. You can handle it. Soon, the bird is surrounded by your group, and the pond behind it blocks its path of escape. Once it realizes that, it speeds up, charging in your direction. I take a good look at the monster. It's tall... Well, we've already looked at it once, but it's tall, wide, with a massive head. Its feathers are torn by the wind. They are vividly brown, white and creamy, longer than your handspan, coating the creature like a cape. Its steps are heavy and deliberate. The neck, as long as a limb, keeps moving around, sometimes staring at you, with but a single black pupil surrounded by deep orange. The light grey beak resembles the leaves of the local plants. The tip is curved, pointy and in no way smooth. It carries dozens of grooves. Maybe a sign of old age, or maybe a trace of hundreds of hunts. I try to find its weak spot. It's just a huge duck. A respectable opponent, I may be forced to kill it. After all, well, we don't want to do that. Am I even ready? Well, I'm not going to self-doubt. Let's try and find its weak spot. It waits no more. It raises its head and makes a long, piercing screech which fills up the entire valley. The feathers on its neck are shaking, but also waving, moved by the muscles. It then flaps its wings and lunges forward, still shouting, charging at you with full force. Okay, what are we going to do? What are we going to do? Oh, I don't want to grapple the bird. It's huge. It's as big as a horse. We could keep my distance and dodge when necessary. Roping sounds like it's probably got a low chance of success. Alright, well, distance and dodge. The giant feet are pounding the ground, with every leap scuffing up clouds of leaves and sand. It lowers its long neck, pointing it at you like one would a spear. You do your best to find a balance between running to safety, jumping away from the beak, and staying close enough to hold the bird's attention. Its reflexes are so quick that you can't imagine doing all this while also trying to strike it back. Yet the creature doesn't find a way to... You can't help but step back. It either doesn't understand the danger involved in moving in its situation, or doesn't care about it. It runs forward trying to flee. It makes 5 jumps. You hear Ilan swear. Without looking at him, you know that he let go of the rope. So I think because we've already landed our rope, I think the top choice is probably the best one. Since I've already caught it with my own rope, all I have to do is stop it from getting away. We could roll a dice to stand in its way and try to catch the other rope, but we already have a rope, so there's no point doing that. Block its path and hope I don't get trampled to death. Maybe not. Or kill it, or let it escape. So we're gonna just use our own rope to try and stop it getting away. We're very dirty, for some reason. You dash to your rope and start to roll it in both hands. You plant your feet on a convenient rock, then pull, felling the bird on its side. But its strength and weight knocks you down as well. It tries to get up, but you keep pulling, fighting against its muscular neck and legs. Ilan comes to the rescue. It's now 2 against 1, and the beast can't make as much as a step. Once Vi grabs the second rope, the battle is over. The bird staggers, trying to keep its head straight until, exhausted, it falls on the ground. Whew! Well, we've used up all our armour and we're absolutely filthy. We still got all our health, so, you know, that's good. The bird keeps trying to find a way out, but with little luck. Once it regains a bit of strength, it charges at you, but after just 2 steps it gets stopped by the second rope. It regains its voice, screeching at its tormentors, but there's something more hidden behind its previous threats and anger. Maybe pain, maybe contempt. "A damn good job," thunders Ilan. He starts to laugh. "You were jumping around like a monkey. You have some legs."
"Ah, you're good with the loop,"
adds Vi proudly, gasping for breath after a long run.
"Better take this.
He gives you his own fine quality rope.
We won't untie that one of yours any time soon. Shag me, I missed my throw."
He shakes his head with a mixture of anger and embarrassment.
Good thing we hired you."
I smile. Good teamwork.
"Oh, you deserve your coins."
Ilan taps his pouch, but doesn't pull out any dragons. "Let's move on. The sooner we get back, the better." The other forager lets you know that he's ready. The runner is still far away, held on the taut rope. Okay, I gather my belongings and lead the men north, chit-chatting about our hunt. Every few minutes the runner tries to get away, and even though it's exhausted you have to move slowly, paying attention to its steps. The foragers seem to know what they're doing, and at no point you feel threatened by the creature. You keep looking around, but the other beasts seem to stay away. At one point you notice a blue wolf among the shorter grasses, but it only observes you in silence, standing on all paws as if it's ready to run away. Your anxious companions fall quiet, but you keep moving forward. In the middle of your journey you think about Roach. During your stroll everything seems taller, and the creatures you pass by feel more real, as if they are no longer just shadows for you to leave behind. Being on the road without Roach feels lonely. Hey, 5 coins. Foggy observes you from the top of the stairs, with the hand resting on her stomach. "Well done, dears." She grins at the sight of the runner. "Tether it close to the water, love." "Oh, love?" She looks at you. "Be nice and head to Creeks today or tomorrow, will you? Tell Ephron we're coming and to give you a bone for the message." She glances at the man with one hand as she scowls at the beast. Before she enters the door, she smiles at her son. "Once you're done, wash your hands and come for dinner. Tell me everything." Tethering the creature to a beam takes you a few minutes. Ilan's gasping for air, leaning on his knees, and whilst Vi keeps his posture straight, his red face betrays him. "Well," says the tall man, "I've got your dragons here. Thanks for your work, friend." The ring-shaped bones are covered in his sweat. Roach is drinking from the lake. Okay, well, I don't think we need to go into the tavern. There's still plenty of time before dusk, 9 hours. But I would quite like to get clean, which we can't do in the lake here. We know that. We'll get eaten. Would quite like to repair our armour as well. So a bit of a mixed thing there for us. Yeah, there's the foraging grounds we went to. So that was what was south of the... That staff's interesting. What's that? So that's a fishing spot and a safe water source there, interestingly. Could go there and wash. We could go up to Gale Rocks and north from there, but I think I'm going to head to Creeks. I think we can get clean here. Elar and Ephron are on the bridge, discussing something as they look at the flowing clear stream. They welcome you politely and ask you about your day. "I have some good news for you. I helped the boys from Foggy's catch a large bird that will soon be brought here." While you try to stay to the point, Ephron is full of energy. He asks about every detail, from the animal's size to the way it acted in combat. Your brief answers are met with shouts, echoed by the silent bounces of the wolf's head.
It was a brave venture. I'm glad they didn't try it without you."
Elar gestures for the hunter to drop it. "Thank you for giving us time to prepare." I can't remember Elar's voice. I was also told to ask for 1 dragon bone. "Aye, of course." The carpenter looks around. Pay for the messenger. Just give me a minute." He scurries away as quickly as his thick legs allow.
We don't carry dragons with us, the hunter explains. So how large is the beak? Something like this?
He demonstrates with the size of his hands and for another few minutes showers you with questions. Finally, the dragon bone finds its place in your hand.
I'll get to preparation soon,
Concludes Elar, gasping for air and leaning against the railing, while Ephron lopes away, apparently to prepare the animal pen as there's no time to waste. The carpenter invites you to follow him to his working station. What do you think about Ephron? He gives you a surprised look.
Oh, I care for him deeply. He's brave and has a big heart. But both of our paths were rough. I don't think you need to hear about them.
About the Eastern Path? You face any troubles? Oh, we haven't been there yet. Okay. See you later. Let's go to the Shadow Creek. Maybe we can wash. With the calming sounds of the waterfall around you, observe the stream as clean as a spring. The oak ash soap and the teeth set you own can help get you cleaner. Let's do it. Yeah, we're a bit more presentable again. There are no fish or plants to bother with, and your feet find mud among the not always smooth pebbles. The water reaches above your waist, allowing you to have some fun and wash every spot of your shell. Thanks to the gentle flow, you're able to remove the mud stains from your clothes and boots. Awesome. Shoshi, I forget what we asked Shoshi about. She's preparing... Oh, I remember now. Yeah. It's about the marriage thing, isn't it? She's preparing for work, but is ready to give you a few moments. I try to recall Marina's message. Then I guess it's not meant to be. She shakes her head with disappointment. I'm glad you opened this chance for me, friend, but there are parts of me I'm not willing to change. Still, I'll make sure the tribe hears about your help. She suddenly raises her axe and shouts, Hey, you! She addresses no one in particular, but her powerful voice makes everyone stop. So boring? Did me a big favour, eh? Be nice. A few people smile or scoff, and life goes on. And if you want to bring Marina my answer, she rests her chin on the top of her blade, tell her, think it over, for I can make every day of yours sweet and light if you're ready to breathe fully. All right. I'd like to repair my armour. I don't think I can do that here. So we've got 8 hours before dusk, so we can travel somewhere else. I kind of forget. Was I doing anything for the farmer? About the supplies? I could buy another chicken. Got loads of money. I could buy another fish trap. There are other fishing spots. Might actually do that. Okay, spend a bit of money. See Ephron? Have you ever met the tribe of the Green Mountain? He leans away, giving you a surprised look, but then shrugs so nonchalantly that his hat falls on his back.
Nah, they use the old speech. It sounds like the drinking song of a seagull.
He scoffs at his own joke.
They only talk to our elders like Foggy, he whispers. Aye, though, don't call it that. There was this time when they gave us seeds and spears on a visit, and we also brought them gifts to ask for something. And what was it?
After he prates for a bit, you change the topic. Okay, well, we'll walk away from him. Yes, we've got 8 hours. Where can we travel to in 8 hours? Who's got stuff we can use to repair our armour? I think probably Howler's Dell's our best bet. But it's going to be quite late by the time we get there. Wait, what's this? There is a tailor in Gale Rocks. Mundane job. Trader. Supplies. Maybe we'll go to Gale Rocks then, as it's closer. The workers are now resting, preparing themselves for the arrival of the fishers, while the younger locals still have to move wares and tools between the buildings. Wherever there's a table or a bench, there are people feasting on roasted fish and fresh fruits, and the smell of herbs burns your nostrils. The youngsters are focused on their play, overseen by the elders, but even they seem to have little energy left. The laziness covers everyone like a fresh blanket. Some of the locals slow down to observe you. Oh, okay, yeah, find a challenge, not amity. We've heard that a lot of times. So let's head to the armourer, because we need stuff. I look for new equipment. Ooh, a shield. We could have used a shield in the fight with those harpies. Let's actually buy that. That could be useful. I was hoping he might be able to... I mentioned Cassia. He starts to stretch his arms, giving himself a few breaths before he replies.
I don't know what you want from her, but you'd do better looking for another pair of arms. When necessary, I can put her to use, but she won't listen to an outsider, no matter the coins.
Oh yeah, she was one of the romantic matches options, wasn't she? Rafina the tailor, maybe she can do something. I have this necklace with me. You show her the strip that's holding a bunch of flakes in a shell, and she only gives it a glance, then gets back to sewing. So old. The ones I make now are elegant. Tell Glaucia I can give her a new one. But the next time she speaks with our head woman without visiting me, I'll kick her teeth out. Be sure she knows that. Weird. She seems to know Glaucia. Okay, gambles on repairs. We can pay 2 to bring it up to full strength. That seems a good option. We can actually add a bit more to it. We've got the money. We can get our clothes a bit patched, and it didn't really do very much for us. I'll pay another 1 to get our back to 3/4 strength on our gambazon. Sewing kit. I think that's probably fine. Good. Still got a fair bit of money. I want to go back to Severina and ask about Glaucia because we did get more in our appearance. That's quite good. You ascend the hill. The guard stands up and puts his woodwork on his pillow, then asks you to wait. You hear his and the headwoman's voices coming from the hall, and once the man returns, he nods gently. You're asked to enter. I follow him inside. Okay. Severina puts away her writing instruments and sighs, but doesn't say anything. Her violet eyes are absent. Okay, so she's not going to talk about Glaucia then. I've heard something about the tribe of the Green Mountain.
Did you know? Then find someone who holds them in little regard, for we promised to keep them safe from guests, we did.
She pauses, glancing at your blade.
Especially the armed city folk, I hope you understand.
You try to learn anything else, but she runs out of patience quickly.
Gale Rocks was one of the very few settlements that used to trade with the tribe, and I ain't speaking of merely the things I remember myself, but even some that happened hundreds of years ago.
The proud words make her voice get stronger and louder.
Hovleven's merchants won't find anything there, and there are no roads for you to patrol. Forget about them, outsider.
I frown, but change the topic. Thoughts on Cassia?
The thought I'm bearing right now is I'd rather not spread rumours about those I look after.
Her annoyed eyes contradict her calm voice.
Can't you bother the elders with such questions, or speak with Petronius, the gossip? He'd be happy to share all the dirty laundry he touched.
Maybe I will. Farewell. What was that name? Petronius. You realise there's been someone following you around, or at least accidentally showing up wherever you go. What's his voice?
Bored with walking around?
He spares you a smirk. He's a short man, dressed in a worn grey-black woolen robe with a belt as wide as your hand, and a buckle decorated with a large shell, now placed annoyingly just 2 inches away from the centre of his stomach. He may be only 30, but it's clear why he has no task to bother with. His fingers are paralysed at unnatural angles, spread like an osier tree's branches. While he's capable of moving around both of his arms slightly, they're constantly bent both at the elbows and at the wrists. Ooh, he's wearing no boots. I've got a few questions.
I know.
He nods for you to follow him and leads you to the orchard, where you stay in the shadow of a cherry tree.
Right.
He looks around, scowling at the nearby kid who instantly turns around and gets out of your sight.
Name's Petronius. I can be your guide.
His soft voice is close to a whisper.
1 coin, 1 question.
He looks at the small leather sack hanging from his neck.
No backsies. You decide my answers ain't worth it, you stop asking.
Alright, so I don't want to spend all my money here, but there are probably some key questions we could ask. I'm not going to ask who may know about Asterion, because I think we've already discovered from Tyus's daughter that he's gone into the east. We could ask about decent equipment. I think we've found the armourer, but in terms of who, there might be other people as well.
You'll get dinner from the cook. The tailor mostly fixes old rags, she does. Maybe our bath man has something. The armourer won't sell much to an outsider.
When you ask for their names, he answers slowly, trying to recover lost memories.
That would be Porcia, Rafina, Aquila, and Tatius.
Okay, so there's a couple of new names there for us to look for. That's good. What kind of artisans can I find in the village? You push a dragon bone into the sack on his neck.
Only ones that would matter to a caravan, not a traveller. We've got the coopers, salters and smokers, who also salt fish. If you use a bow, go to Florus, the Fletcher.
Ooh, there's some good info coming out of him. Maybe I was told something about an old lumberjack hamlet? He tells you to put away the dragon.
Yeah, I can't help you with this one. I know there used to be such a place, but I never left my home. Better ask a lumberjack or someone who knows the peninsula well, if there are such people left.
All right, well, I think I'm done with him now. But I've got a few more names to look for now. Let's see, probably in my journal. Gale Rocks, yeah, so we've got... It's actually not here, it might be in my archive. Don't need dinner. Seen the tailor, maybe Bathman? Do we need to get clean? Well, I mean, it'd be good to maybe locate these things. So let's look for... I think it's Porcia was the cook, wasn't she? You head to the building that releases not only smoke, but also the smell of roasting meat and spices. In front of you, you find a sweating, wrinkled woman with a shaved head and a simple rag-like band on her hips, and another one restricting her chest tightly, as if any movement outside of her control would be too much of a risk to take. She doesn't even spare you a glance, too busy with mixing ingredients in bowls and cutting vegetables on wooden boards. Her eyes are focused, but whenever she tilts her head high enough for you to see her face, you spot a subtle yet challenging smile. Inside the building, you find another few people, most of them elders, as well as a large fireplace that's smoking, a few dozen hanging fish. When one of the cooks, currently scaling a fresh fish, notices you, he lowers his head and with a bored voice addresses the woman. "Porcia, you have an outsider, you do?" The woman turns towards you in the blink of an eye, standing on spread legs, as if a shell can't spare you more than a single flinch.
I didn't notice you there, stranger. You hungry?
She reaches for a bowl, but stops suddenly.
Right, we serve more than 100 stomachs, we do, so better give me a reason.
Such as?
Everyone works for their share, join them.
She points at people inside the hollowed cave, but after a few moments she shakes her head left and right and gets back to her work.
Or pay me a dragon, I guess. It'll land in the keep's chest.
Okay, well, I don't need a meal right now, but I've sort of added her to my list of contacts now in this village. Can I look for Bathman? I can't remember his name, but I could look it up if necessary. The steep banks are damp, so you head upstream to the wooden bridge, but you can hardly reach any water with your fingers there. You consider getting undressed, but a sudden voice behind you tells you to quit it. "The current is strong, it'll catch you and bam!" The man swings his arm. "You'll crack your skull against the rocks." He points downstream. He's a large person, with heavy boots that are dirty from mud, and a necklace made of a colourful shell as large as your hand. He approaches you, holding a few empty buckets, each one attached to a rope. He places them on the logs and crouches down, filling the buckets, one by one. I ask about washing myself at a well. He frowns. "What are you, a child? What's your name?" After you introduce yourself, he gives you a gentle nod. "And I'm Aquila. We bathe in tubs, right? I have warm water in the shed." He directs your eyes at the boulder next to the path, though it in no way resembles sheds that one would find in the city. He straightens up and carries the buckets up the bank one by one. "Either help me carry water around the village for a few hours, or pay me if you're lazy enough. I'll make you a fine bath and wash your dogs." He places the last bucket next to the boat, and you notice that another man is already taking one of them to the eastern gate. "I could also sell you a bottle of perfumes, so it won't be much use if you have no soap." He grins with his yellow teeth, as if there's a punchline hidden in his words. "We pick flowers of roses, violets, lavender, cherry. Good for hair, ears and wrists, just don't think of it. Oh, sorry, just don't drink it." We could ask about that. How much would it cost for a bottle of perfume? 6? I mean... Alright, let's buy it. He grins and asks you to wait with your horse, then heads towards the western gate. Once he returns, he carries a small wooden box. He places it inside the shed on one of the old barrels. The box is filled with wool and small earthenware bottles, which he opens one at a time, allowing you to get a whiff of their contents. "We make them as a village. The coins ain't for me," he explains, "but they're nice, ain't they? Which one do you want?" So, we get to choose a flavour of perfume. Rose is a bit feminine, perhaps. Lavender's maybe slightly aging. Violet, rosemary. Cloves are nice. Maybe we'll have clove-flavoured perfume. How about that? He smiles, picks up a bottle and puts it on the barrel, waiting for you to smell it again before you pay. You add the bottle to your other fragile pieces of equipment, and the man closes the box again and carries it away. Any thoughts on Cassia? He raises an eyebrow and looks around, making sure nobody approaches his shed.
Ooh, there ain't much to say. All them guards are trouble from time to time, but she's lucky to still have the job. No one would take her anyway. She goes for days without washing her togs, and that keeps arguing left and right. The best she's for is distracting beasts. You get it?
Step away. Okay, let's have a quick look at our journal. Who else do we have here? No, it was the archive, wasn't it? So, does it go up far enough? The Fletcher could be interesting. We've met all these people now. Florus. Okay, let's try and find Florus. A short man with absent eyes is leaning against the fence, spending his break observing the people gathered at the stalls. He's wearing a torn shirt, patched together from wool and 2 shades of blue, and has his long hair in a ponytail. When you get closer, he spares you a warm smile.
Cheers, stranger. You looking for me?
That depends, you respond, and he tilts his head away, observing the sky.
Right. Well, I'm Florus. I make arrows, but I don't really sell them to outsiders. It's just our thing, it is.
As his elbows rest on the wooden planks, his hands dangle loosely, and you notice that they are very clean and well kept. Unusually so for an artisan. Well, that's fine. I don't use a bow.
Then no hard feelings.
He titters, raises his hands to his head, stretches his back with a yawn, and gets to his stall-like spot. With a workbench covered with wooden staves, knives, sand, flint, quartz, and even obsidian. There are also oddly shaped tools that you can't really name. The man sits down on a chair.
You need something from me?
Before you respond, you notice the already finished arrows sticking out from a tall basket. They are divided into handspan-sized bunches, each of which has a fletching in different colours and sizes. You step closer, noticing that they also have varied thicknesses, lengths, and use different materials. Why do your arrows have so many colours? He turns towards the basket and looks at the arrows as if he's just noticed them.
Oh, different needs, different arrows, he simply states, resting a hand on his knee, as our forebears learned after using many spells and tools to find the best combinations that these barren hills allow for.
With a nod, he draws your attention to the far east, with its sparse greens and harsh rock faces.
The grey feather ones are for harpies, the blue and yellow for critters you want to skin for their furs.
You mentioned there are arrows that have other partially orange fletching, yet somewhat differ from each other.
Right, orange is for shells that walk on 2 legs. If they're also green, they're for goblins. Black are for humans, silver for beast folk. We don't shoot at trolls, no point. He shrugs.
After you ask if the different types truly make a difference, he clicks his tongue.
Maybe? I was taught the spells make it so, but I'm no enchanter. Doesn't hurt to be prepared.
I could help you learn if there's real magic in them, you know. He dusts his hands and looks into your eyes with a hesitation.
How so?
I can use a spell. I have this amulet that, thanks to a ritual I know, can recognize pneuma. After his excited response and way too many questions, you head towards Roach, who seems a bit bored. You unpack the wooden spheres, pleasantly smooth and light. The entire set fits in the palm of your hand. You place them in various spots, on a single arrow, on a whole bunch, a few steps away from the basket. You begin the ritual, after which all you can do is wait, chatting with the Fletcher. When you collect your amulets, the temperature is uneven. The closer a sphere was to an arrow, the warmer it got, but those surrounded by a whole bunch got significantly warmer, as if sensing pneuma from all of them at once. You shake the spheres until they cool off and then hide them in your satchel. Florus speaks first.
Any clues?
Well, there's definitely some spell held by these arrows, though a weak one. It may be that the stories were true. He flashes you a wide smile and puts his gentle hands together.
Then all those lessons were not for nothing.
He pauses, trying to make his voice a bit more dignified.
I'm humbled to know it was for sure. Thank you, traveller. I can't wait to tell this to my neighbours.
As he turns away, he still mumbles to himself.
Right, maybe I should find myself a student.
Is Cassia a decent archer? He shakes his head, makes sure he heard you right, and snorts.
Her? Why, rightly not. She's lucky to have muscles that can handle a club. She ain't getting anything as precise as this.
He wags an arrow at you. I'll leave him to his wag, that's fine. Okay, well, it's getting towards dusk. I don't feel a particular need to speak to the smokers and salters. In fact, they've probably gone home by now anyway. So I think I'm going to sleep. And the episode's getting on for length, I'm also fully aware of as well, so we need to wrap things up. But before that, we'll just talk about plans for tomorrow. And one interesting point is I did spot on the Steam forums people saying there's about 10 hours of playtime in this game. I mean, this is episode 10. They're all roughly about an hour in length, so I'm at that point. But I've still got 28 days to go on our time limit. And, you know, I feel like although we've done a fair amount, I feel like, in a way, I've barely scratched the surface of what the game has to offer. So, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if I was double that by the end, potentially more, depending. I know I'm reading all the text out loud, which does slow things down a little bit, but I think there's plenty more than 10 hours of content here. Yeah, so for tomorrow, what do we want to achieve? Maybe we'll just head north from here. Tomorrow, obviously. Find out what's there. Maybe we'll head down here. It feels like maybe at some point we'll form a bit of a loop around this side. Maybe it's worth sort of going down here as well. I've got good armor and full health, so actually I might even go into the old tunnel here tomorrow and make some traps for those skeletons. And I'm not sure what'll happen when we get to the other side, whether it'll open up a shortcut to Gale Rocks perhaps, get there a bit quicker or what have you. So yeah, there's plenty to do. We've got to activate this beholder somehow. But I'm now hoping that maybe when I get to the Enchantress or complete that quest for the monastery, that either way I'll get my hand on some of the spirit rocks that can also help activate it. So yeah, so plenty to do tomorrow, but for now we're going to go to sleep. We've spent money like it's water recently, so we could rent for labour. We'll get quite a bit dirtier and use some food. We have rations. We have full health, so this is what I'm thinking. We don't need to heal. And we only have a little bit of pneuma we need to replace as well. And the other stuff is fairly replaceable. So I think we rent for labour. You wake up surrounded by darkness. The keeper is sitting outside next to the open door. The fishers are getting ready, they are. Go ask someone where you can load the wagons, she says slowly, as if you're meant to repeat these exact words. You're freed from your duties after a few hours of work before you get a backache. You sit on a bench chatting for a bit with one of your companions. Some of the locals slow down to observe you, and when you meet their eyes, you find a few smiles. Well, that's an improvement. The pillars of smoke start to rise above the buildings. Many of the workers have already left the village. The remaining adults are either outside, carrying timber, food or other wares, or in their workshops, the largest of which are open air. The sounds of work muffle the conversations, so you mostly hear the shouts of children and overseers. You go too, but we're not going to go too. We're going to end it there. So thanks very much for watching this episode of Roadwarden. Still a pleasure to play, so I hope you're enjoying it too. If you are, then please do hit the like button on the video and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, which would be amazing. And in the meantime, I'll see you again for more. Bye for now.